Hi everyone, my name is Moira Amanda Mubani. I am a medical genetics PhD student from the University of Zimbabwe, and I'm participating in this debate representing Group 5, Team I. Our topic reads, should individuals have full ownership over their genetic data with the right to monetize it? And we are standing in support of this notion that indeed individuals should have full ownership over their genetic data with the right to monetize it. Why are we in support of this notion? Firstly, it aligns with personal autonomy. It encourages fair benefit sharing. It fosters trust and participation from the public. Last but not least, it aligns with data protection laws. The question of whether individuals should have full ownership over their genetic data, including the right to monetize it, it lies at the intersection of ethics, autonomy, data governance, and equity. Ethical frameworks in existence right now that are grounded in respect for persons, they argue that individuals should have full control over information that cannot be separated from them, such as genetic data. It cannot be separated from a person's identity. Genetic data is inherently personal, it's uniquely identifying, unlike other forms of health data. With a person's genetic data, you can know deeply intimate information about them, including their ancestry, their disease susceptibility, and biological relations. So granting full ownership, it aligns with the principle of autonomy. It allows individuals to decide when, how, and by whom their genetic data is accessed. So with regards to our arguments, the first point we have is empowering individuals with ownership rights and potential economic returns. It can foster transparency. It can encourage broader and more diverse participation, improving the scientific validity of genomics research, which is what we want. We have an example, a case study of My Data. It's a non-profit citizen-owned data cooperative in Switzerland, where individuals retain ownership and control over their health and their genetic data, and they can determine who can access it and when. So why am I bringing about this case study? Well, it's quite relevant in the sense that it's showing us that individuals can permit the usage of their genetic data, whether it's for research purposes or for commercial purposes. They are in control, they have a say. It also emphasizes, it's showing us, illustrating clearly the collective bargaining power people have when they are together. Last but not least, it aligns with the GDPR principles. So this example of My Data is showing us how data ownership, granting individuals data ownership, and coupling it with robust governance structures, it can foster transparency, it can encourage participation, and enable innovation, which is really what we want in this field of genetics and genomics. So this is an illustration that has been obtained from the website, My Data website. It's saying My Data, Our Health. It's My Data, but it's supporting our health at large as a community. It's illustrating clearly that individuals, they have the right to decide. They're in control. They're in control. They can decide whether their data is used for research or for treatment or commercial purposes, by whom and when, which is quite key with regards to supporting autonomy. Our second argument, allowing individuals to monetize their genetic data, it can correct the imbalance in the current genomics ecosystem, which is largely benefiting institutions and private companies rather than the individuals from whom the data has been derived. So if we allow people to monetize their genetic data, fair benefit sharing is ensured. We have an example of LunaData. It's a genetic data sharing platform which treats DNA as participant-owned property, which means the individuals, they receive shares in the company in exchange for their genetic and health data. What is the relevance of this case study? It's showing us that in this case, participants, they are legal shareholders. Financial dividends may be paid if the company profits. It's showing us equity, benefit sharing here. It explicit recognition of data ownership and monetization is what is happening at Lunar DNA. So Lunar DNA is a proof of concept that indeed There can be ethical, transparent genetic data sharing and equal benefit sharing, as illustrated in this slide. We are showing that the members, they are giving their data and they are getting shares. Okay, so it's showing us how the members, the public, Lunar DNA, and the researchers are working together so that everyone wins, everyone benefits. Our third argument rather, genetic information is becoming quite a valuable digital asset in the bioeconomy. Trends in data protection increasingly recognize personal data as an extension of the individual. We have 23andMe. It's one of the largest direct-to-consumer genetic testing companies, which means it has access to a lot of genetic information, genomic information about individuals, since they are into ancestry. So the company's database is a valuable source of genetic and health-related data, which makes it a digital asset because it can be monetized through partnerships with pharmaceutical companies, research institutions, marketing. So genetic records, they are not just health data. They are data products that have commercial and scientific value. Our fourth point on equity and empowerment. We are saying when governed ethically, ownership rights can empower individuals and communities rather than allowing the continued extractive use of genetic resources. And we have a great example for this. In the Peruvian, we have the potato park communities. These are 6 communities. They entered into an equitable partnership with the International Potato Center, and they had an agreement which focused on restoration. Over 400 native potato varieties had been collected decades earlier, and these varieties were returned to the community. And the communities are now benefiting monetary benefits, and they're involved. There is shared decision making within this formal agreement. And why does this matter? We are saying this model is showing us that the custodians of the genetic resources have been empowered. There is equal benefit sharing between the custodians of the genetic resources and the International Potato Center. Is distributing the benefits. Terms are defined. It's not unilateral. It's not benefit that is just benefiting the companies here. No. Even the custodians, the communities are benefiting. And this is also supporting biodiversity. It's aligning with community needs and respecting their culture, of course. So this is a perfect example that is showing us that equity and empowerment can occur. Communities can actually benefit from their genetic resources and their indigenous knowledge. So yes, individuals should have ownership and the right to monetize their genetic data. Last but not least, we are saying allowing individuals to have ownership of their genetic data and monetizing it, it aligns with data protection laws. Because the data protection laws in place right now, they emphasize individual control over personal data. And it seems logical to just extend these principles of data ownership to also genetic data. We have plenty examples stipulated here. We have the SN mapper. It's showing us, it's an example from 2008. Individuals' DNA is treated as personal data, and no one can retain that data without consent. It gives people the right to their privacy. It aligns with the GDPR principles of personal data control. It's showing us that individual ownership of genetic data is ensuring individual rights being respected. That's what it's showing. We have Decode Genetics from Iceland, where participants, the mechanism is participants must provide opt-in consent and they have control over their data. So the Data Protection Authority to intervene over this Decode Genetics example. They to intervene to enforce consent and transparency. And this is showing us that when there is control, it's preventing misuse and it's aligning with privacy laws. We have an example of 23andMe, where customers can opt in and out of the research at any time. They can revoke their consent at any time. And this really aligns with US privacy principles like the GDPR. You can control the access, you can control when your data is erased. Last but not least, we have the Woodia benefit sharing, Southern Africa. Communities retained control over their genetic material and their traditional knowledge. So this is aligning with principles of consent, benefit sharing, and privacy, because this is community owned and community benefiting. Let's move on to the rebuttal. Well, the argument is that the notion we are supporting erodes altruism. But then, on another note, compensation and altruism are not mutually exclusive. Research participation is motivated by different reasons, and payment is just a way of acknowledging their contribution. Yes, the public benefit is there, we acknowledge it, we love it, we appreciate it, but you're also taking time to acknowledge the contribution of these people. So altruistic donation can still coexist. It can even increase overall participation. And their other second argument is saying this creates cohesion. No, no, no. If we have ethical safeguards in place, such as informed consent, minimum compensation standards, and collective governance, we can mitigate cohesion. Because the moment we prohibit monetization, it's like we are safeguarding the existing inequalities. We already know they are existing health disparities. So if we prohibit monetization, it means only the institutions are going to be profiting, while the participants receive no benefits, which is not fair. We have proper regulation that can be put in place, and it can enhance equity than exacerbate the exploitation that has been going on over the years. The third argument is that there is violation of family privacy. Well, this can be mitigated, this can be managed and even prevented through anonymization, entire consents, and limiting secondary use. Also, ownership frameworks can really strengthen privacy protections because the individual is in control. They determine who does what, when, for what reason. The other argument is that there is no true anonymity. But then again, anonymity, absolute anonymity is not required for ethical data use. There are many sensitive data types right now that people are trusting with third parties. For example, financial records. They are managed through risk-based safeguards, not perfect anonymity, which means we can also do the same for genetic data. Ownership frameworks are going to allow individuals to control access and impose restrictions on the use of their genetic data and even withdraw consent. So what we need is to have stronger protection in support of data ownership, because the currently existing data sharing models, they are opaque, but we can strengthen them. When everything is clear out in the open, we can strengthen them. Then the massive power imbalance, we can have data trusts, we can have cooperatives, we can have state-regulated intermediaries that can negotiate on behalf of the people, improving the bargaining power of the participants and the public, ensuring fair compensation and ethical use. Their other argument is that there are weak laws. Well, regulatory gaps exist, but this is just a call for us to enforce the regulations that we have. A legal reform, not that we should strip individuals of their rights. No, let's strengthen the frameworks in support of personal autonomy. Explicit ownership and monetization rights can strengthen the enforcement, complement the existing laws, not replacing them. That's not what we are after. And the last point is that it worsens diversity. Well, actually, fair compensation may incentivize participation from long excluded groups, historical excluded groups. And what this does is that we have equity-focused recruitment and community benefit sharing, which is what we want. So what I'm saying is that the implementation of this approach is not without its risks. Yes, we acknowledge the risk, but we are saying there are safeguards that we can put in place. Monetization frameworks must avoid coercion, must avoid exploitation and excavation of inequalities, especially where the economically vulnerable may feel under pressure to sell access to their genetic data for monetary or economic benefits. We need ethical governance mechanisms, transparent consent models, and collective benefit sharing arrangements so that ownership of genetic data is empowering the individuals, not harming them. So the take-home message here is that this approach, giving individuals support, full ownership of their genetic data and allowing them to monetize it. And we couple this with robust protections, equitable governance. It promotes autonomy, justice. It aligns genomic innovation with the rights and interests of the individuals who actually make it possible, the participants. Thank you for listening. And these are my references and more references. Thank you.